Welcome back to the third in this little series of videos. There are 4 altogether, each of them sharing 3 things. So check out the playlist, my Mace Energy Method playlist, if you want to see all 4 of these videos. This one today is about 3 reasons to choose Mace. So 3 reasons why you would choose Mace over the Mace Energy Method in its full name, over any other modality or approach or tool or technique or any of that stuff. So the very first thing, the very first and very most important thing for choosing Mace is that you want to change. The last video I talked about 3 signs that you're ready for something to change: resistance, frustration, and boredom. So if any of those are present, or if you simply know you want something to change, if there's another indicator that's telling you it's time to change, then amazing. First box ticked. That's your first reason to choose Mace. You want something to change. No modality or practice or approach can help if you don't actually want to change. So number 1, you want to change. Number 2, as a reason for choosing Mace, is that you're tired of stories and you're tired of talking. So that's tired of stories could even be within yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean you've been talking to a coach or a counsellor or a therapist or any other kind of practitioner. You could have just been telling the stories to yourself. You could have just been repeating the same stories again of, oh, well, it's bound to be like this because I ... It's bound to be like this because when I was little and my parents were ... Oh, well, it's inevitable that ... Those kinds of stories where we're telling ourselves the same thing again and again. Like I say, even if you're not actually talking them out loud to somebody, even if you're just tired of them within yourself, that's an amazing sign that Mace is a good option for you. Or indeed, if you have been talking to somebody, if you have been talking to some coach or guide or practitioner of some kind, and you're like, oh my God, I just keep telling the same damn story every time. I just keep telling the same story and nothing's changing. Nothing's actually fundamentally changing in my life. I get some relief every time I tell the story, and then the pattern's back again. The reaction's back again. The same thing's back again. I'm so tired of telling that same story again and again and again. So if this is you, if you're tired of telling stories, if you're tired of talking about your life and your experiences and all the ins and outs of it and all the narrative around it, it's not that there's anything wrong with that. There is a usefulness for a period of time. But there comes a point when you're bored of that, when you've seen it's not actually changing anything and you're ready for it actually to change. Refer back to point 1. You have to want something to change. And then to fit really well with Mace, you have to not want to talk. Now, it could be that if you still want to talk, that's okay. But you have to know that in the Mace Energy Method process, we aren't talking about your life. It's not a talk therapy. So we're not going to be talking about you and what happened in your childhood. We're not going to be hearing the ins and outs of your life as it is now, especially in the foundation sessions process. More talking can come into the subsequent sessions after you've had your foundation process. But in that initial process particularly, there is no talking. And even after that, when we're talking, it's only to identify where there's a negative identity or a resisted feeling, and then we're straight into the process again. Because there is no point analysing these things. There is no point talking about them. It does not solve them. Have you ever solved an emotional problem by analysing it? Have you ever solved an emotional problem by talking about it? My guess is no, not truly, not permanently, not for the long term. So when you come to Mace, it's because you're ready to not talk. You're ready to not tell stories about your life. And that means you're perfect for Mace. So the third one in this, as a third reason to choose Mace, is that you don't want practices. You don't want to have to practice anything in your life after the sessions. You don't want to have to introduce any kind of new habits or integration processes or anything that you're going to have to do on a regular basis afterwards. Now, this was music to my ears because I've been terrible through my life. If good is you can do a practice, I have therefore been terrible at using practices and habits to enact any change. I have used them sometimes, but generally I am pretty unreliable when it comes to practices. I am not good at staying with them. I'm not good at being consistent with them. And so I have sometimes used them for a short space of time, but they've never stuck around long term. Again, I see that's perfect because it's led me to Mace, which doesn't require a practice or an integration process. So it's like, oh, well, this fits me beautifully. I can do this one effortlessly. So really, really, truly, if you don't want practices, then Mace is perfect for you because we do the work in the session and it's done. And it might sometimes take some time to unfold in your life. Somebody once said, one of my clients said, the changes are subtle but profound. The beauty and the truth, when it's a real genuine change in the truth of who we are, it is a very gradual, like, what's the word? Like it infiltrates all different parts of your life over time. So you see instantaneous results and you see it unfolding and unfolding and deepening in your life as well. And none of it requires any practices, none of it requires any habits, no special getting up at 5 a.m. to, I don't know, meditate or to light special candles or have any kind of ceremonial stuff. Again, if you like that stuff, that is fine. You can do that stuff till your heart's content. But ideally, you don't care or need or want any of that stuff. Certainly, it's absolutely not required for having a Mace Energy Method session. It is not required after a Mace Energy Method session. There is no integration. There is no process afterwards. There is no practice afterwards. There is no habit to introduce. The work is done in the session, and then you're off into your life. And if in your life you happen to love ceremonies and candles and practices and habits, then go for your life. But in terms of choosing Mace, one of the things people love about it is there are no practices, there are no habits, there is no integration process. So, 3 reasons to choose Mace. First, you want to change. Second, you're tired of talking, tired of telling stories. And third, you want something that doesn't require any practices or any habits. The work is done and you're off. See you in the next video.